Hey everyone, quite a few news from Iceland today about the eruption that is still going on, about the possibility of a second eruption and an updated hazard map. So what is going on? The crater that is just east of Sudnuk continues to erupt, and it has been doing so since April 5th. That's when the other craters had died down and only this one guy was left, and it's still spewing the lava. So the lava flow is a short distance and it flows in an open area around that crater. South from the crater, but it is flowing further away from the crater to the south in like enclosed channels that are underneath the visible lava bed, and that's reaching towards Grindavik, towards the defense walls of Grindavik. But you know, we will have to see. The defense walls of Grindavik are holding up quite good so far, and they're still doing work on these defense walls. But what we definitely can say that if we look at the defense walls of Grindavik, and if we look at the lava bed that is basically touching the defense walls of Grindavik and that is coming towards Grindavik, there is evidence, or it's clear that it has thickened in the last few days. The National Defense has a web camera that basically looks at the defense walls directly, and then they have made a time lapse starting from April 18th to April 23rd, and they show how the lava thickens, gets higher towards the defense walls, and you can see this in this animation. It's hard to see somewhat what is the defense wall, what is the lava, but you can see it's basically coming up. That's the part of the lava bed that runs along the eastern part of the defense walls, where once the eruption started, also the lava was flowing very, very fast, and it was threatening to cross the road and then go into the sea even, and there it would have caused a toxic gas pollution. But that's not the case yet, and it does, as of now, it doesn't look like that this is going to happen. So the camera angle that you see here, that web camera is located on one of the defense walls, on the eastern defense walls of Grindavik, and basically it looks at the lava flow that originally did flow south towards the roads Suðurstrandarvegur when the eruption began. If you look at the other picture here, so that webcam is on top of Hagafell and it's looking south towards the sea. And what you see in the yellow boxes, so the yellow boxes mark the areas where the lava has increased the most. They call it, it has grown up and thickened the most. And in this picture here, you can see the difference between the defense wall. The defense wall is a lighter brown area, and then the dark area is the lava. So you can really see how it's coming up in that picture. I hold it still so you can see it's reaching the height of the defense wall. And that's what they need to take care of, because we have a scenario that the current eruption is still running and it's obviously doing this. So obviously lava is still flowing towards that direction, causing this lava bed to increase. But we have the magma chamber underneath the Swartsengi Blue Lagoon area that is filling up again, and it has reached between like 7 to 8 million cubic meters right now, and it used to trigger events when it had reached that level. So anything between 8 million to 13 million cubic meters has triggered events in the past since November 10th. So what's the possible scenario? What could happen? Of course, one scenario is that it sends an additional magma flow into the current eruption. Then more lava could flow again towards the defense walls, or it opens more fissures a little bit in a different area, maybe closer to Grindavik, who knows, or around Grindavik. Even inside Grindavik, it is possible. It's possible in the Swartsengi area where the Blue Lagoon is located. They say this is the less likely scenario. So most likely scenario is definitely where we are right now with the current eruption. But you know, fissures can open further to the south, closer to Grindavik. So, and then the defense walls, will they hold? Because then the lava will build up pretty quickly. So that is, well, I don't want to say interesting because, you know, it's tragic, but interesting in a way that we have to wait and see what's really going to happen. The measurements that they have done of the lava flow, they indicate that since the beginning of April, we have lava flowing. What's coming out there is at the moment between 3 and 4 cubic meters per second. But the last measurements that they did was April 15th, and now we have to wait for new measurements to see if something has changed. For example, the pressure that is building up in the magma chamber underneath swartsengi, has that led to an increased magma flow in the current eruption, or has it decreased? So what's happening? So yeah, it's kind of sad that it takes them so long for the next measurements. Why can't they measure this daily? It's just a question that I ask. I don't know how they do this, or is it so complicated? It would be interesting to have like a daily update. So what's going to happen? So right now everyone just relies on looking at it and thinking, is it getting stronger? Is it getting weaker? So they have updated their hazard assessment. So if you look at the hazard map, it basically still looks the same, but they're saying that the probability of an eruption, if you look at the area 1, that's the swartsengi area with the power plant and the blue lagoon. Then we have area 4, that's the area of Grindavik, and then area 7, that's west of Grindavik. So the possibility that there's going to be an eruption, the likelihood has been reduced from being considered considerable to small. But we have to say, you know, this area is always good for a surprise. When we had the January eruption, they were quite surprised at the location where it did erupt, so close to Grindavik. And then boofy, all of a sudden a second fissure opened basically right in Grindavik and burned down 3 homes. So you can never say never. They can do their predictions, but sometimes it comes in a different scenario, right? Because just last Friday, they have done the opposite because of the continued accumulation of magma underneath the swartsengi area and this great uncertainty that they had of where the new location of a possible new eruption would be and the possible chances of new earthquakes. Where would that be? They decided to temporarily increase the probability of an eruption in these areas. Number 1, Blue Lagoon, swartsengi. Number 7, west of Grindavik. And number 4, Grindavik, right? And if you know me, you know that something might come out of my mouth just in a millisecond, right? Regarding area 1, the Blue Lagoon, right? If you are interested in that, check out my other videos, because the tourists that go there, they don't really know what's going on, and the Blue Lagoon does not inform them on their website. If you want to book something, you don't know, and basically they're trying to have it in the fine print, but you know, don't really be transparent, so in order to not lose any tourist revenue. So people are surprised when they actually arrive at the Blue Lagoon and they're being told, well, you know, there's a magma chamber right underneath you that's actually fueling this eruption there right now. There could be gas pollution, there could be lava flows, or you know, the magma might come up while you sit in that pool and then you're a cooked boiled chicken. So yeah, that's on a side note for this video. So that is the update that they have given. Of course, they still consider the area number 3, the purple area, as the highest risk zone when the land rise will continue and this eruption will continue. It's considered most likely that if there is an increase in the magma flow because of the pressure in the magma chamber, that the magma will flow through the open channel that we already have that's now feeding the current eruption, or maybe then new fissures will open nearby, but that the magma will take the main highway that is already paved out from the magma chamber into this eruption series. And that's why it is very high there, because this will probably happen without warning. That's what the experts are saying. Since the roads are paved, so to speak, the magma doesn't have to grind its way through. It's like miners building a tunnel with explosive. That's not going to happen. That's why there might not be any earthquakes. The magma shoots through that already paved highway, and then oopsie, eruption, right? Surprise. That risk assessment, the current risk assessment, is valid until April 30th. If nothing else changes, right? Of course, if we have an eruption somewhere, that might change. So that is the update about that. I want you to have a look at the earthquakes. It's rumbling. If you look at that Reykjavik ridge or the North Atlantic ridge, if you look at the whole of Iceland, there were 2 more earthquakes above magnitude 3, which is quite more significant if you look at volcanic activity. And if you look at whole Iceland, you can see the earthquakes are basically along the North Atlantic ridge, where the 2 tectonic plates are separating from each other. Not like in most areas pushing towards each other, they're separating, and that's why they're opening up like a tunnel for magma to come to the surface. So it's been rumbling a little bit unusually in the recent days and weeks, and scientists are a little bit worried about the high activity and especially the higher levels of earthquakes that we're seeing also in other volcanoes, right? Barabunga and stuff like that. So we definitely will have to keep a close eye on what's going on there as well. And of course, I keep you updated. Check out my other videos about that. Check out my Iceland playlist. There's everything you need to know. And there'll be an interesting update about the super volcano in Italy very soon, the Campi Flegrei. I've got a playlist for that as well. So guys, do me a favor, like this video. If you're new here, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Thank you so much for the coffees you keep buying me, guys. That really, really helps. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. You guys, you know who I mean. With the coffees and the supers, you're absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I see you very soon, guys. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.